Hello, everyone, and welcome to Teen Talk, sponsored by the Coffee with Kim live talk, radio, and podcast. Teen Talk is the place where the talk is to encourage and empower now. I'm Kim Crabill.
And I'm Kylee Levien.
And we are
your Teen Talk hosts. God tells us to let no one despise our youth. So, as teens, He wants us to understand that our purpose in Him is for today. Wherever we are, as we are, God longs to fulfill His calling through us now.
Sounds good, Kylie. But how does that happen?
Well, Miss Kim, that's what Teen Talk is all about. So invite your friends as we gather around to have talks to encourage and empower now.
Hello, everyone. Well, Teen Talk. What is that? And is it truly important? Well, hello, I'm Kim Crabill from what you might remember as the Coffee with Kim show. And coffee stands for Conversations of Friends of Faith to Encourage and Equip. As a radio host, I've longed to dedicate a part of my programming to teens because, yes, today's teens have so much to say. So I've patiently waited and prayed for the right person to bring on. Well, last year, as I was in California filming for the Coffee with Kim TV show, I had the privilege to interview someone, and I knew immediately she's the one. She is the one for our Teen Talk show, and her name is Kylie. I knew without a doubt because she was fun, she was fabulous, and she was filled with faith. But she was also real, and she was authentic in her talk and in her walk as a teen. Kylie is an actress, a model, and a dancer. She is an academic honor student who also loves riding horses and learning new things like sign language and things like that. Now, I could go on and on about our new program and our new host, but why would I when I can just simply introduce her to you today so that we together can learn more about her? So, friends, welcome to Teen Talk and your host, Kylie.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, Kylie. It's so good to see you. Thank you so much for being our new host.
Thank you. I'm so blessed I can be here.
Oh, I know. Well, let's talk about when we first met. Let's talk about being on. Do you remember being in California at the studio and you came on and we had so much fun, didn't we?
It was so fun. Yeah.
And we talked about real things. I loved, Kylie, that you have all these different interests, but you are so filled with your faith. You live your faith, but yet you are not what I call a plastic believer. You still were talking about, I still have, I have situations, I have hurts. And we talked about that on camera for quite a while, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, and I just loved when I asked you if you'd be interested in doing a radio teen talk show that you jumped on it. What made you say yes?
When you first introduced the idea, I was like, oh my gosh, out of all these people that you've come across, you chose me. I was like so blessed to be the person that you picked. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so excited. And I think it's very important too to do something like this. And I was like, it's an amazing opportunity to actually get the chance to do something. And I was like, yes, I just have to say yes. And it's also very important because you can reach out to a bunch of teens nowadays. And I think that's what truly is important. So I'm blessed I get to be the one to do that.
Well, we're so blessed. And I know that as we build our audience of teens, I think it's going to be incredible that we're going to be able to have a show that really is. When I think about teen talk, I think about talks to encourage and empower now. That's what the acronym teens now, because I think so many times, and maybe I would love for you to respond to this. I think so many times that young teens think that, oh, well, when I grow up, I'm going to be able to exercise my faith. Or when I grow up, I'm going to be able to do that. But that's not the case. It's now, isn't it, Kylie?
Yeah, because you also never know what's going to happen tomorrow. And so you might push it back another day. And I think procrastinating also, it limits your options and your times on like, oh, I don't want to read my Bible today. I'm just going to do it tomorrow. Because you don't always know if you have the time tomorrow. And so I think that's a big thing too, procrastinating. It's another big downfall for teens nowadays.
Let me tell you, it's for adults as well. I believe that the enemy can procrastinate, cause you to wait another day. I think it's, it's not us saying, oh, we don't want to do it. We're just saying, well, we'll do it later. And sometimes I feel like we miss God's timing by waiting. But Kylie, you're surrounded by other teens that need the gospel, need hope now, right?
Yeah, lots every single day.
Yes. And so that's why I love this platform that we will be building so that teens are able to grasp the concept that you are already living God's purpose. There's not a magic time or age or, maturity in your faith. It's like it's now. And so that's my hope and my dream for our talks. Well, Kylie, I introduced you a little bit, because you're an actress or actor, I guess they call them now. My day it was actors, actresses. Now I think you're all actors. Is that right? Is that what's right?
Yeah, it's probably true. Everybody is an actor.
Okay. So, you're an actor, you're in school, you love horseback riding. There are a lot of things I could say, but in all that, is there something that I left out that you'd like our audience to know about you?
Yeah, I mean, I love committing to the community where I live. And so I love doing charity work and volunteer work. And also, my family is a military family. My dad was in the Air Force for 17 years, and I've been to 30 states, and I've lived in a lot of them. But we love supporting any Gold Star families and things like that, and charities like that who are involved with the Army or Air Force or any branch really. And so yeah, that and volunteer work. I love volunteering. It makes me feel like I've given a piece of myself as much as I can help to the community, and I think that's very important.
Oh, I love that. And thank you so much for sharing about your military background, because it is a family that serves. So we just applaud you and your family and give your dad a big thank you and your mom for what they've given, because that's so important, and love to be able to honor our military. And boy, do we ever need it so much, even right now. And so thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, so Kylie, oh my gosh, there's so much I want to jump into. What is your hope? At the end of this, as we have committed to 5 Teen Talk shows, what is your, like, if you were to talk, you were talking to friends right now, what is your hope for them in moving ahead with this programming? What do you hope that we achieve?
I hope that we achieve. I think it's very important nowadays in this generation. A lot of teens and kids nowadays, and even sometimes adults, I think it's very difficult to like reach out to people, and I think a lot of people are held back, and like when something's going wrong or something is hurting them, or they're suffering from something or some mentality or some physicality, a lot of people hold back and don't bother sharing with the world. So I think me sharing my experiences and showing that everybody has gone through similar things in some ways, or at least a couple people have in this world. And so I think it's important to reach out and to know that people are not alone, and they never have been, because one, God is always with them. And also because now we're here and we can help in any ways that we can. And I think that's very important. So reaching out to people who are lonely and think that it's just them in this world fighting against the world. And so to show them that they're not, and God's here and we're here.
Oh, Kylie, that is so good, because according to a Harvard study, loneliness is the #1 heart disease in our nation. We feel so alone. But let's think about that in your generation with teens, and even with ours. This is the social media networking king of the world. We have all these social media platforms. We have all these friends. We have all these ways to connect. Why is it, do you think? Now, I can speak from adults, but from a teen standpoint, why do you think that we're so alone and feel so lonesome, even though there's so many social media outlets out there?
I honestly think social media is one of the reasons that people feel so alone or so guarded off, because on social media, all you see is the perfect image, the perfect person, appearance-wise, personality-wise, depending on what they show. And so if that's all you see every single day, you're like, oh my gosh, I wish to be like them. Oh my goodness, I wish I was exactly like them. I wish I could switch places with that human being on the screen or on social media, and they set out the perfect image. And so when people just want to be that person all the time, they cross out basically anything that makes them, and they try to change to be different. And I think a lot of people, when they're going through like the process of changing because they don't like who they are or they're not confident with who they are, they like they steer away from people, so they distance themselves. I know that's what I did. Like last year, I was like, I always thought that I only had I always had my parents and my family, but I always thought I only had like myself in some situations. And then I was like, I started reading my Bible like at least weekly last year, and I got I got so healed because I realized that from reading like all my Psalm verses in the book of the Bible, that you're not alone and you always have somebody there for you. And so I think that's a big thing with social media too, is because looking at other people on the screen, I think that steers you away from who you are, and it steers you away from people because maybe they're not the perfect image either.
And I like what you said. We kind of lose ourselves, don't we? If we're always comparing ourselves to other people, we're kind of not, we're not building up ourselves. We're not growing within ourselves. And so we lose so much in that. But Kylie, I have to ask you something. And I bet that every teen that's going to be watching this, they're going to go, wait a minute. Kylie has felt alone. She's an actress. She's in these movies. She does all this. Kylie, let's talk about that. So you have felt alone as well.
Yeah, last year was a rough year. I wasn't exactly confident with myself either, because I think it's like when I first got like TikTok last year. I'm not always on Instagram, so I don't always like see that stuff. But on TikTok I got it, and I was so focused on the app, and my parents would always be like, "Why are you on TikTok?" or something like that. I was like, one, because a lot of people like it for entertainment, but two, because you get to see people's perfections, because that's all they post on Instagram and TikTok. And so I was that. And also, like, a few people passed away last year in my life. And so I was like, I would just, when I lose somebody, or like also my best friends like moved away and stuff. So when I lose somebody, I very much distance myself from people. And that's how I lose even more people, because I push people away, and I think that I'm like, I don't need anybody anyway. But in reality, you kind of you need people there for you. And I know God has always been there for me. But last year, in the beginning of the year, I didn't always think that. And so, but throughout the year, I realized that he was right. God is always there for you, even in my darkest times. That's why I didn't completely shatter. That's why I didn't completely break, because God was there. He was healing me through the process. And it taught me to like stand up for my famous quote, stand up for what you believe in, even if you're standing alone. And so I stood up, and I went to church as much as I could. I read my Bible as much as I could. I canceled out a lot of people who the devil was working very well in. I tried to heal them, but over a while, you realize that you've done everything you can to try to help bring them closer to God, but their natural traits and stuff are rubbing off on you. And so I think that's another big thing. Like, picking friends, because a lot of the time, no matter what you're doing, it rubs off on you. And so then you'll change into that person. And so being alone, I was like, oh, I think I'm so truly alone. But then I was like, I realized that I wasn't. I had my parents, and I had I had God, and I had my siblings to reach out to. It took a long time to realize that, but I'm glad I did.
Kylie, thank you so much for being so honest, because I think that, that is something that, that's one of the reasons I love you so much, is because you don't fear showing what you're going through. And I think that's really what connects us as people, rather than just acting as if everything has always been so great. Because we know that the Bible says in this world, we will all face trials and tribulations. We will all have hurts. It goes on to say, but take heart, for God has overcome it. But there are moments where we are going to face these fears and tribulations. And I think I started to say even more so as teens, but I think that it's harder as teens because you don't have the life experiences that we've had. And I think that that's why it's so important to grab teens like you who are willing to speak into the lives of other teens who are feeling so alone and lonely. I want to go back for just a minute about the friends, because what you said is so true. And you go into Proverbs and you see how important it is to choose friends wisely. And there's even a principle that says that you become the sixth people that you're around the most, because you're right. We tend to feed off of these traits. So when you're thinking about friends, you said that you had to walk away from some friends. Now, I know that if you see them in the hallways, you're still going to be nice and kind, or when you see them at horseback riding or whatever, but they're not your inner circle. How do you choose your inner circle? And how would you tell our friends that are watching today, how do you know who to choose?
So it's very true. Last year I walked away from some people that brought me down a lot. And I realized that it's okay, because some people will think that is bringing them up, and that just didn't work for me. That worked for them, but it just didn't work for me personally. So I was reading more into my Bible, and I would talk when somebody would reach out to me. I would be like, I would be like, okay. So I would have a conversation with them and see where it goes. But I was also I think everybody is my friend. Every single person I meet, I love and adore, but they're my friends. Even if I don't talk to them at all, or if I don't talk to them weekly, they're still my friend. My inner circle is a different story. I do have a couple close friends, and then my family. But friend wise, I think it's very polite to be nice to everybody, and it's good and it's righteous to be nice to every single person you come across. Yeah. But I read this verse one time last year, and I stuck with it because it had something to do with friends, and it's Proverbs 12:26. It's the righteous choose their friends carefully, but the ways of the wicked lead them astray. And so when I read that, I realized that not all your friends are there to do good. Sometimes the devil is working in them to do harm to your mentality state or your physical state in any way, really. So I'm still nice to everybody. Like if I see them in the halls or at horseback riding, I'm still nice. They're just not, I don't share my whole life story with them. I do have a couple people I do that with, but you got to be picky with who you choose your friends. I like to say, be picky about who you keep around and spend your days with and time with, because personalities, words, physical character traits rub off naturally. So
they do, Kylie. I have this little exercise that I do when I do retreats every once in a while. I will take glitter, and I'll just put little pieces of glitter around in chairs. And so we'll go through the day, excuse me, we'll go through the day and we'll talk about how other people's actions, how the world, how things rub off on us, and we're not even aware of it. And to prove my point, I will say, look on your clothing. I bet you'll find some glitter. And they're going, where did I get this? And it's like you picked it up in the process of moving around the room. That's exactly the way it is at school or activities, is that we're going to pick up these habits. And many times we don't even know from where or from whom. So I think that's really important. Do you think, Kylie, that it's important for you as a teen and our teens watching to know yourself and to know what you want and the life that you want to live? Do you think that helps guide you to choose that inner circle, to choose those that are more like-minded?
I do think that's very important, and I think it's a very big part into choosing people who you want to spend your time with and choosing people to be around and within God's like mind work and stuff. Also, I think it's like that's a big part in this world nowadays, especially like because a lot of people don't think that they're good enough, or they don't think they look pretty enough to post on social media, or they don't think they are like, they wish they could be like the captain cheerleader or someone like that. Like last year, I was not the biggest fan of how the way I looked, and I had these amazing friends who would always tell me, "You're beautiful just the way you are." And sometimes last year I didn't really believe them. So I really always wanted to be like, there's a couple people that there's always wanted to be like that and look like them because they looked so perfect. But you realize when you get to know somebody on the inside, it's not, they might show that they're perfect, or they might show that they're kind, polite, respectful, they're everything that you want to be. On the inside, they have gone through a lot. And like God puts everybody through trials and tribulations. And so not everybody, well, nobody has not gone through some suffering at least.
Right.
And so it's interesting to learn that, and it's cool. It's good to be polite and respectful and kind and always be nice to everybody and put on your best self when you're meeting new people. But when you let people into your inner circle, after a while, them getting to know you, they'll realize that you're just like them in that sense, because nobody's perfect. Only God's perfect. But nobody's perfect. Nobody is the definition of perfection. You might think it sometimes, but nobody is. And God created you perfectly. That's why my favorite verse is Psalms 139, because the first verses 1 through 6, they talk about how he knows you and how much he knows you. So going back to Alone, it talks about how he's always there for you and stuff. And that's what verses 7 through 12 in Psalm 139 is. It's how he's always near you. He has never left your side. He is the only being that has always been next to you. And then in verses 13 through 18, I have my Bible right here. It talks about for how God created you just the way you are in his like image. So it says, "For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed body, and all the days ordained for me were written in your book, before one of them came to be. How precious to me are your thoughts, God. How vast is the sum of them. Were I to count them, they would outnumber the grains of sand. When I awake, I am still with you." That's my favorite book and my favorite verse in all of the Bible, because it proves to you how God has always been there and how he created you just how you are supposed to be. That's why he always says, don't change anything, because you are perfect the way you are.
Yes, and he knitted us, like you said, he knitted us, and he didn't make a mistake with the way we look, with the gender that we are, with the personality that we have. Of course, we're always aligning to be more like him, but what a beautiful and perfect scripture to start off our teen talk time with, Kylie. That is just beautiful. So we're close to running out of time, but I thank you for reading that scripture. And I would like to ask you, as we close out, we have 2 or 3 minutes. I'd like to ask you, those were so comforting words, but let's say that you could go back to last year when you were struggling and just project how you felt. I know there are a lot of teens that are going to be watching this that are feeling just that way now. And I believe God allows us to walk through different things so that we can, what the Bible tells us, comfort others with the same comfort he gave to us. So when you think back to that, what is it that's something that could have been said to you that would have, or what's something that was said to you that helped you, that encouraged you, that gave you hope to not give up, to keep going and to keep your head up because, brighter days were coming? What would you say to someone who is a teen right now that's just feeling very discouraged and a little hopeless?
Yeah, I did have somebody like that who walked into my life last year who I love so much because she was always happy spirited, and she would always tell me to not give up and that life is short, so just live it how there is no tomorrow. And she was always the brightest person in the room, and she was so sweet. If I had to reach out to somebody and they were feeling how I was last year or struggling in some sort of way, even if it's worse, I would say don't be afraid to reach out to people and tell them that you're going through a hard time, because there are people out there that just want to help. And there are people that are going to be there for you. And there are people that you're going to find along your path and your journey through Christ. And even if you go to a church or your priest and just tell them your struggles or anything, then it helps if you tell somebody, because they'll help you in
Hello, everyone.
how to help you. So how the right way, how to help you the right way and walk through your journey with Christ. But I would say another thing for struggling teens is that don't give up on God, because last year I wasn't confident, and I wasn't very believing that are you sure God is with me right now, because I'm struggling so much. Just don't give up on him. He is there. He is healing. So everything that has happened to you up to this date has happened for a reason. It has created who you are today, and you are just the way that God wanted you to be. So don't exactly change that, but just keep your mind on God. Let him help you with your path through the Lord, and not everything is going to be rainbows and sunshine, but it is worth it, because in the end it's a whole journey of peace and love and forgiveness.
Oh, Kylie, that was beautiful. So beautiful. And I just know that coming from you, there are going to be a lot of teens that go, oh my gosh, there's Kylie. She's so successful in all these areas, but yet and they're successful in their rights as well and what they're doing. But to open the door and say, but we're still all struggling in many ways. But see, here's the thing. Struggles bring us together. That is truly what connects us when we begin to talk about that, and we can really help one another. Well, we're at the end of our very first show. I can't believe it. I just want to thank you so much. From the East Coast to the West Coast, here we are trying to pour hope and encouragement into teens all across the nation. Kylie, next time when we get on, we're going to talk about how do you balance it all? How do you do all that you do and keep it in perspective? Because while you are doing that, our other teens are doing that, maybe with sports and homework and their activities. So we're going to talk about how do you start your day? How do you align yourself to prepare yourself for the day? And how do you do it? Does that sound like a good topic for next time?
That sounds like an amazing topic for next time.
Well, so friends who are joining us, please stay tuned. It's only going to get better from here. And Kylie, at some point, we're just going to open it up for lots of discussion. We have lots planned for Teen Talk, don't we, Kylie?
Yes, we do. I'm super excited.
I am too. And I know our friends, our audience will be as well. Well, friends, thank you so much for joining us. Kylie, you want to say goodbye to everybody?
Thank you, everybody. Bye. Mwah.
Oh, bye, everybody. Oh, love it. See you next time. Bye, everybody.